Episode 5. His anger ripped out of him, and he yelled, "Send the worst of the worst and drag her ass home." Both his fists hit his desk. He heard it crack, didn't care. Jackson stopped talking and stared right at him. He could feel his father's eyes on him as well. Jackson's eyes returned to his phone, and he shook his head and sighed heavily. "Well, Alpha, that went well." Then his hard gray eyes were staring at him, practically staring him down. If he was spoiling for a fight, he could have won. The look was damn near a challenge. His next words shocked him. "That was Jayla. She heard what you said and has hung up." All I got was a gasp filled with fear. Now it was Nathan's turn to run his hands through his hair and pull at it in frustration, and it dawned on him he was just like his father in so many ways. He closed his eyes. "Call her back, right now," he demanded, trying not to kick the nearest thing to him. Havoc was fuming inside him. "Look what you did now." "I know," Nathan muttered back to his wolf. "I'll fix it." "You'd better," came an angry snarl. Nathan stood watching as Jackson hit the number to call her back, only to realize on the phone it actually stated Jayla. That bastard had her number all this time. Oh, he was going to get punched in the face after this was over. They could have called her and he wouldn't have exploded and said what he had said. Why did she have to wait so long, to the very last minute of the deadline? He was not exactly known for his patience nowadays. His father was still in the room, also waiting for the outcome. He noted, though he seemed more curious about his son's reaction to the situation than he should be, he was standing by the door looking right at Nathan with a raised eyebrow and open curiosity on his face. He glared at his father and snapped, "What?" "Son, you seem awfully upset about one little she-wolf that you ordered away years ago. What's going on exactly? Why are you insisting on bringing her back now? All of a sudden?" "That is my business," Nathan thought. He could do as he pleased, but he also knew that his father would push the subject harder and harder till he got an answer. He was the former alpha and had the right to ask the question and receive and answer. He still had rights to know what was going on. He was still the alpha in charge when Nathan was away from the pack for business or alpha council, or when he was off assisting an allied pack who was under attack and requesting assistance. Nathan turned his attention back to his beta. She didn't pick up. He was already trying again, knew better than to just call once. "That's odd. The line can't be connected now," he stated, frowning down at his phone. "Just bloody great." Nathan snapped, his anger backing up again. Only this time, he was angry with himself. He knew that he was responsible for her not picking up. She had heard him yell and reacted on instinct, probably going to run. Havoc sounded flat out annoyed with him. Nathan agreed with his wolf. "Jackson, make arrangements. Who do you know out there?" "A couple of wolves, though retrieval is not really their thing, but money that will work for them." "Do it. She's going to run." Nathan nodded quickly. His father sighed heavily at him, gaining his attention. "I'd go yourself, son. It would be better that way. She'll be long gone before me or any of my men can get there." And he knew it to be true. They'd have to fly out, and even with their private pack plane it would still take too long. Still. His father seemed oddly calm for the situation at hand. Nathan didn't think much of it, dismissed it altogether. Who knew what his father thought on any given day? Retirement had changed him. He appeared more laid back nowadays. His reactions were more thoughtful on everything. When Nathan had questioned him about it a year ago, Blaine had shrugged and told him, "You have to deal with all the stress now, son. I get to spend time with my mate. A lot of time." And he'd grin like a schoolboy, "If you know what I mean." Nathan had understood his meaning all right. The whole pack understood. His parents, now not in charge all the time, seemed to have taken more interest in mating than anything else, anywhere and everywhere. For that matter, half the pack had seen them and their wolves mating out in the woods in their wolf form and human. It had become a common occurrence, especially on the full moon nights. He watched as his father strolled out of his office, I wonder where my pretty is right now, he murmured to himself and was off to find her. Nathan prayed she was in their room, and he wasn't going to have to walk in on them somewhere in the pack house. He shook his head. They seemed to have turned back time to when they were horny teenagers. Jayla POV. It had taken all her courage to call. She had already decided to call Beta Jackson's number, not the pack house number. She just couldn't bear talking to him at this point. It had been 6 long years, and she still could see in her mind's eye the anger in his eyes, feel the order he'd driven into her. Pain tinged her chest, and she rubbed it absently, trying to make it go away. She had spent the day staring at the number. It was almost 5 p.m. The deadline was approaching. Tony and Lauren had agreed to take the triplets for a few days while she went away on a business trip. Thank the goddess for them. She sent a blessing to the goddess for them. They may be human, but they were a goddess-sent gift to her as far as she was concerned. Sitting in her office chair, she dialed Jackson's number from the bottom of the letter. Jackson's smooth, soft voice practically purred down the line at her, calm and collected, not a care in the world it seemed. She knew differently, having grown up with him. That was just how he portrayed himself. The anger and rage she heard from Alpha Nathan as he yelled out an order. She had never thought he would ever be capable of directing towards her. Send the worst of the worst. Fear had streaked through her right to the core of her being. Cora whimpered at this too. A fearful gasp escaped her lips, and she disconnected the line instantly. Stared down at her mobile phone in horror as every fiber in her body screamed at her to run and run now, and never look back. Cora did not argue with her at all. He was still so angry with her, so much anger that it felt more like he completely and utterly hated her. How could he, after their lifelong friendship and love affair, could he just ignore 20 years of friendship and turn on her so easily? Just one slap and that was it. Everything they'd shared gone just like that. For him, only his Luna mattered to him. Not his friendships, not the one with her anyway. She stared at her phone as it rang. She saw the number, knew it was Jackson, and hit the reject call button. She stood and balled her fists. She was nothing to him after everything, just nothing. Jayla slammed her fist down onto the phone with all her wolf strength. The phone shattered and shards went flying everywhere. Time to go, she muttered more to herself than anything. She picked up her briefcase and headed home. She would tell her pups they were going on vacation and get on the first flight out of the country. They all had passports, had been overseas a few times on vacation. Singapore was nice, and hardly ever saw wolves there. That could be an option. She would have to find a place that was more suited to Cora. She had suffered a lot not being able to shift so much due to living in the city all the time, and staying away from anything wolf in society and rogue territory was out of the question to run in. That was too dangerous. No matter how fast Cora was, it was not a risk either of them were willing to take up, as it could leave they pups as orphans in the human world.
Full story is available at novelpalace.com. Click the link in the comment section to get it free.